Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 26.4 RC, or Release Candidate. iOS 26.4 RC is available to developers and public beta testers on all iOS 26 supported devices. The RC is the final version released to developers and beta testers before it's released to the public, and if there's no additional issues, this will be the final version released to the public. If not, we'll have an RC2. Now, as far as the overall size, this came in at 8.72 gigabytes on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, was about the same size on the other devices here, where Apple also released iPadOS 26.4 RC, macOS 26.4 RC, tvOS and HomePodOS 26.4 RC, along with visionOS 26.4 RC, watchOS 26.4 RC, and even iOS 18.7.7 RC, and the iPad version as well. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So we'll go to Settings, and this time we can just go to General, Software Update, wait for it to check, go to More Details, and then tap on the version number here. And if we tap on the version number, you'll see that the build number is 23E244. If there's no additional issues, this will be the final version released to the public, but lately they've been releasing new builds to the public, so we'll have to wait and see. We'll talk more about that toward the end of the video. As far as new features, well, there is no modem update coming from Beta 4 to RC, so no change there, but if you're on Beta 3 or older, you will have a new modem update going to the RC. As far as Apple Intelligence, there's no Siri 2.0, but there is a new Apple Intelligence feature depending on where you live, and that has to do with music. Apple updated music quite a bit, and the first thing you'll see under your library is a new icon in the top. If we tap on this, you'll see it says Playlist Title, and it says, what do you want to hear? You have a beta for Playlist Playground, where you can create things such as maybe Weekend Family Getaway, songs from the 90s everyone knows, or you can put in your own suggestion. So we'll tap on this, wait for it to complete, and then it will show you a new playlist. We'll just turn it down here just in case it starts playing, but it says Finding Match or Song Matches. It takes just a moment, and there we go. So you'll see things from Michael Jackson, Usher, you'll see others from Aaliyah, Weezer, and many others. So you, of course, can rearrange these, change these however you'd like, but this is a new feature built within, but it's only available in specific regions. Within playlists themselves, if maybe we go into this one, the background looks completely different. We have some new buttons here with a download button, and they're more playful if you put your finger over them. They sort of move to let you know you're interacting with them. If you want to press and hold on the download button, you can then add to playlist here. So it's a nice little change. You can quickly get into your playlist, change it around, and see sort of a new background as well. So there's a new look for both albums and playlists with full screen backgrounds. And again, with iOS 26.3.1 on the left, iOS 26.4 on the right, you can see the difference here. So a new look overall. Also within Home, if you scroll down, it will now find concerts near you. So you can see Toby Mac, Crowder, and it gives the date, and then you can see more information about it, where it's taking place at Bojangles Coliseum, for example, and it just gives more information nearby. Within the Control Center, Apple has added a new thing for offline music recognition. So in the Control Center, you can now identify a song without an internet connection, and then it will deliver the results automatically when you're back online. Another music update has to do with a new widget. You'll see here we have a new ambient music widget that has sleep, chill, productivity, and well-being. So it shows an album, what's next, and you can just tap on that to get the latest chill version or whatever you'd like. So again, this went along with the Control Center that they added before, but now we have a new widget for it. Now, in theory, Apple CarPlay should support playing video when enabled. However, we'll have to wait and see if Apple actually enables that. And it also allows AI chat assistance when the actual developer allows this. So ChatGPT, Gemini, and others could be allowed within CarPlay, but we'll have to wait and see if they add this. When it comes to messages, there's some updates as well. Now, originally in the betas, we had end-to-end encryption. So if we went into our apps, go into Messages, within Messages, if we go down to RCS, Apple originally added end-to-end encryption, but that was in beta and only during the beta. So this will be coming in a future update according to Apple. So it's not here just yet. If we go into Messages, within Messages, you'll see we have some new emoji. This is to comply with the latest Unicode standard. For example, we have a treasure chest, we have a ballet dancer, along with a trombone, a distorted face, a fight cloud, a Sasquatch or hairy creature, along with landslide and orca. So again, Apple doesn't select these, they just sort of comply with the latest Unicode standard like everyone else, and they've been added in iOS 26.4. Also, when you start a new conversation, the animation is a little bit different. Maybe I'll show that in the final release video. There's some new changes with Liquid Glass. If we go into accessibility, then we go to display and text size. If we scroll down, you'll see a new option for reduce bright effects. It says minimize highlighting and flashing when interacting with on-screen elements such as buttons or the keyboard. So for example, if we go back into messages and maybe you tap here in the keyboard, you'll see it sort of highlights a little bit. If you don't want that effect, you can simply turn it on. We'll go back in and that effect is gone. So this does not change the effect around the icons as many people had hoped. It just changes that sort of flashing effect. There's also a change here as well for motion. So if you're someone that is bothered by motion here, you can reduce motion and it changes this a little bit. It now more reliably reduces the animation of Liquid Glass. So if you turn this on, it will reduce Liquid Glass, change sort of the animations. They're less sort of bubbly or interactive with motion. You'll see it just sort of blinks open. So you can turn that on if you'd like to, or leave it off if you like the Liquid Glass effects. Also, if we go into maybe a video that's playing, and when watching a movie, so this is the F1 movie, you'll see if we go to captions here, we have some options now. So you can turn subtitles on and off. We have language directly from here now, and also style. So if you want the classic look, large text, outline text, or a transparent background, you can do that. So you can change it to whatever you'd like, and then see what it looks like to make it easier to see for you. And going along with Liquid Glass, if we press and hold on our home screen, go to Edit, you'll see that it's more transparent and more glass-like now. So on the left is 26.3.1, on the right is 26.4 RC. Also, the control center seems to use a little bit darker glass than it did before. Subtle change, but makes it a little bit easier and more contrasty. If we go and add a new wallpaper, and within Wallpaper, you'll see they've completely redesigned it. They don't pre-install wallpaper anymore, at least for a few of them, where you have weather or astronomy. You can tap on them to get and then download it. So it doesn't take up as much storage. And you, of course, can remove this as well if you want to remove it from your gallery. But you can, of course, view them here. It pre-installs things such as your 17 Pro Max default wallpaper and iOS 26. But again, everything else is optional. So you can remove them and then sort of free up some space if you'd like to with a complete redesign there. Now, if we go into settings and maybe you have a family set up, Apple has added a new option for purchases. So within your settings for purchase sharing now lets adult members in the family sharing groups use their own payment method without relying on the family organizers to pay. So that's something they can add their own purchases and purchase them on their own. Also within your iCloud settings at the bottom, you'll see there's a new option for iCloud.com. If we go into this, it says allow data access, and then it says allow your trusted Apple device to provide search results to iCloud.com, and then you have advanced options as well. So you can enable this, disable this, and then go into your options. Within your options, you have the option to export recent searches or clear recent searches. So it's a little bit of a change there. You don't have to allow it, or you can turn it on if you'd like. If we go into the camera settings, then go down to record sound, there's a new option for audio zoom. It says recorded audio is focused on the subject when camera is zoomed. So while you zoom between different lenses, it will then focus the audio. Before it would sort of do that on its own, now you have the option for it. Podcasts also gets a big update if you want to watch video or audio podcasts. This is the example Apple gave, where you can listen to an audio podcast, but then seamlessly switch to the video podcast right here. This uses HLS video, so now it supports that. So if you want to switch back and forth, you can do that. And you can also download them to watch them offline. Within reminders, there's an update where there's a new urgent section. We had the option to add urgent reminders before, but now it has its own section where they didn't have it before. So it's a slight update there. There's also a change with Freeform. If we go to the last page here, you'll see Freeform has a new icon to go along with Apple Creative Studio. And if we go into this, we have some new options here. So if we tap on this button, we've got a bunch of different things such as Discover. We can generate an image, go under Photos, Graphics, Backgrounds, as well as Shapes. So if you want to use any of those, it's sort of an updated experience there. Within Settings, under Personal Hotspot, if we go down, you'll see that we now have data usage, and you can see how much data each device is using and what device it is specifically. So Mac Studio, MacBook Pro M4 Max, for example. So it gives a lot of information. There's no additional information, but at least you have that now. If we go into the App Store, they've changed this a little bit. Search is now at the bottom, all combined in one bar. If we tap on it here, it now puts search at the top. So this has been changed. And if we go into our account settings, it's been updated as well. So you'll see under account settings, we have a new icon here, and now it's sort of broken down a little bit differently. So we have subscriptions, apps, and purchase history, one extra step to see updates, unfortunately, and then things such as add money, redeem code, and send gifts. Games also gets the same treatment with the search bar combined with the bottom. And if we go to search, again, it's changed changed as well, where the search bar is at the top. Back within Settings, if we go under Face ID and Passcode, you'll see the passcode entry screen is now centered again. It's no longer off to the left. So this is a nice change, just makes things a little bit more symmetrical. Within Privacy and Security Settings, Stolen Device Protection is now on by default. So if you don't want this enabled, you'll have to turn it off on your own, but I typically recommend it, especially if you're at risk of having your device stolen. So it just now turns it on by default, and you don't have to worry about it. Within Shortcuts, there's an update where we have a new action for a charge limit. So if we go and put in charge, you'll see it says set battery charge limit. So that's a nice little update. And there's a new glyph as well that you can select. So if we go in and maybe select all of our glyphs here, within our phone glyphs, there's now a flip phone glyph. So small change, but it is updated. Now there's an option we thought we'd have some time ago for notifications, and it seems like it should be rolling out in the EU. That's notification forwarding, which could be there in iOS 26.4. We thought it would be in 26.3. So let me know if you're seeing it, but basically it would allow for different devices to forward notifications. So maybe you want to use a third-party device instead of an Apple Watch, you could forward notifications to it. Also within the phone app, if maybe you miss a phone call, it now gives the city and state or location where it was located. So you can see a few here from Charlotte. Within the Health app, they've finally brought back blood oxygen under Vitals. So if we scroll down here, you'll see blood oxygen is here, and it's been brought back to the Vitals page. Sleep also has an update, and while I don't use Sleep a lot as far as the data here, it will now show an average bedtime. So it really recognizes when you go to bed and then helps you record that so you know what your average is. Also within accessibility, if we scroll down and go to live captions, there's a new language here. So you've got the different appearance, of course, but if we go into our languages, there's a new one that's for Chinese with Taiwan here. So you'll see Chinese, Taiwan in parentheses. So that's a new language they've added. Now on the iPad, there's a couple things worth talking about as well. Within Safari, you'll see the tabs here, but if we go into our settings, there's now a new option to go back to the compact tab bar. This is something many people have wanted back, so maybe we'll add a tab here. We'll just open another one. It's now compact. If maybe we switch it back to separate tabs, see if we go back here, you'll see that it's separate. So you can make this compact if you'd like, and it's a small change. There's also a change too to indicate if you have minimized windows as well within the app. So we'll investigate this a little bit more in the final release video. Now, before we talk about bugs, and there is one big one that they've fixed, one thing they released the other day was new AirPods Max 2. And if we scroll down here, you'll see AirPods Max 2. You can order them on March 25th, and they are available early next month. If we go into Learn More and scroll to the bottom, you'll see that it specifically says you need iOS 26.4 for some of these features. So it actually mentions it here throughout. You can see 26.4 and later, and it's mentioned all throughout the notes here. Now, as far as bug fixes, the one that they've actually noted, and I'm sure there's more than just one, is that the keyboard bug is fixed. They specifically mention it, and you can see it here. Improved keyboard accuracy when typing quickly. This was a problem before, and it looks like it's resolved. If we go into Notes, you'll see here, this is iOS 26.4 RC. That's wrong, on iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it seems like it's much better. Much faster, and should work better on older devices as well. As far as other things that have been resolved, well, I'm sure we'll have to take a look at that on the weekend. There was just a little bit of lag there, but you'll see if we go through and maybe go into the App Store and search. So within the App Store, if we go to search, maybe we'll just search for Minecraft. It seems to be nice and fast, even though I mistyped it. So there it is. And it's working as you would expect. Finally, everything seems to be working well. Spotlight is nice and fast. No real issues so far. Of course, it will take a few days to know if there's any additional issues. As far as other bugs, well, there was a little bit of lag there, and the wallpaper bug still persists. So you'll see here, there it gets bright. Slide home, and it desaturates. So they finally fixed the keyboard bug. Maybe this is next. I doubt it, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully they'll resolve it once they can get to it as they continue to stabilize iOS. As far as anything else, well, Apple CarPlay seems to be connecting just fine for me, at least on the betas. I'd have to hear from you over the weekend if it works on all the cars, as Mercedes-Benz was having some issues. Some GM cars were having issues, but it seems like it's resolved and they've finally fixed it. So Apple CarPlay should be much better. As far as the public release, well, first, if we have no additional issues, we shouldn't have another release this week, but if we do, we could see iOS 26.4 RC2, and then the public release I would expect around the 23rd, typically around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's what Apple usually releases them around. However, we could see it Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, as sometimes they change this up. Then after that releases to the public, a day or maybe a week later, we could see iOS 26.5 Beta 1. That's when we can expect maybe to see Siri 2.0 for the first time with Apple Intelligence, and then of course major changes with iOS 27 Beta 1 in June. It's said to be more of a stability update, but typically we'll see the first one at WWDC 2026 or the Worldwide Developer Conference, and I would expect that around June 8th. We'll have betas throughout the summer with a public release of iOS 27 probably in September like they typically do around the iPhone 18 launch. When it comes to security updates, I would expect some security updates. However, they don't typically update this website until after it's released to the public. So yesterday we had background security improvements, so that was something new, but we can expect more security updates here. So we should see those when it releases. Now, as far as if you should install iOS 26.4 RC, well, if you're on any of the betas, definitely install this update, test it out, and provide feedback. However, if you're on iOS 26.3.1, I would probably hold off at this point, wait and see if this is stable, and of course I'll talk about it in the weekend follow-up, and if it is stable, you could try it out, but just make sure you have a backup and know that you can't downgrade without a computer. When it comes to overall performance, well, I did show a little bit of stuttering there. It seems like that's not fixed. Sometimes when you unlock the phone and scroll, it will stutter. Looks like that's resolved, but there is occasional lag like you saw there, so maybe it's still processing in the background. You'll see some of the icons haven't filled in, but in general, it seems to be pretty smooth. Even on older devices, people are reporting the same. For example, on iPhone 11, this is actually on Beta 4, and it was performing just fine. No real issues here. You'll see it opens and closes nice and smooth. Definitely better on older devices this time around. When it comes to the heat of the device, it's staying nice and cool, but of course after installing a major update, it's going to process a lot in the background. But let's go ahead and check initial benchmarks and take a look at the heat. So even with the thermal camera, while it's running benchmarks, it's staying much cooler than before, around 31 degrees Celsius. Typically it would be around 35. So maybe they've changed something even though it's using the whole processor. Hopefully it's a little bit better. Benchmarks completed, and they're quite good. 3,802 for single core, 9,977 for multi-core. Compared to what we've had in the past, it's even a little bit higher. So this is great, even though it's not out to the public. And of course, we'll talk more about this in the weekend follow-up video. When it comes to battery life, I've been using iOS 26.4 betas full-time on my main device, and you'll see I have 100% capacity with 41 cycles. If we take a look at the overall usage, under usage, you'll see here yesterday, 3 hours and 7 minutes of screen on time or screen active time, 1 hour and 12 minutes of screen idle time using 65% of the battery. I'm actually getting much better battery than I did before, even though 3 hours and 34 minutes of screen active time using 50% seems low. 7 hours for me has been great despite how much stuff I'm doing on the phone all the time. So much better battery life, and hopefully it increases from here. Now when it comes to storage, let's take a look compared to Beta 4. So if we scroll down here, you'll see 26.4 Beta 4 on the left, the RC on the right, and it's actually a little bit smaller, 21.76 gigabytes compared to 21.92. So Apple Intelligence is taking up a little bit less, iOS a little bit more, but it's very close. And as far as the overall system data, no changes there. It's staying well below what I would expect, usually around 20 to 40 gigabytes. It just depends on what it needs, but pretty good overall. So that's everything with iOS 26.4 RC or release candidate, or what we used to call the GM. This particular update seems like it's a good one. They finally fixed a lot of things and added a lot of features. But if I find more features, of course, we'll talk about it in the weekend follow-up video, let you know if it's ready for the public, and talk more about battery and things then. If you found anything though, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.